Oh, so far I always have. I hope. Uh, and here we go again. Hi there, everyone. Welcome yet again to Cast Iron Wednesday here on this silly YouTube channel. Where, as you can see, the cast is still on. I'm still getting by, but time goes by, and I've got an appointment this Friday to see whether or not they will be taking it off. That would be nice. But more importantly, as you know, it's not only is it Cast Iron Wednesday, today is, of course, St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. Yay! That means everybody gets to pretend to be Irish, and we can say all of those stereotypical Irish phrases, Erin go brag and Faith and Begorra and all of that. But hey, why not? I mean, it's fun. And of course, that's really much of the point of the modern day St. Patrick's Day, just having fun. And it's become something of an Irish Pride Day, which is also nice. And I will get more into that a little later, I guess, because, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to our channel, where I have in fact been preparing a couple of famous St. Patrick's Day dishes, and yes, that includes corned beef and cabbage. After all, you folks were here a couple of weeks ago when we actually started corning a beef brisket. We put it in the brine, and it had been sitting in my fridge for the past 2 weeks. Well, earlier today, I took one of those two pieces of meat out of the brine, and it is currently in the oven with your usual vegetables and a whole bunch of red potatoes, so that in a few minutes or so, it comes out of the oven, and we get to see some corned beef and cabbage cooked in cast iron. But in addition to that, I wanted to prepare another dish that I've really become fond of from Ireland. And as I mentioned, that would be Colcannon, which they're probably more likely to be eating over there in Ireland today or any other day of the year than corned beef and cabbage, because as some folks may know, corned beef and cabbage is more of an American dish. It really originated in New York City. New York City! And maybe around the early 20th century or so, after a lot of Irish folks had emigrated from Ireland because of the potato famine, and they really found that that at that time of day anyway, at that time of the century, I should say, during that time, traditionally, pork was probably the most common dish to prepare, meat dish to prepare, and at least in Ireland, it was not that expensive. However, it was much more expensive here in the US, and they found that simply beef was less expensive in those days. Certainly is not less expensive these days. And so they start, and so here we got some cultural integration where the Jewish community of New York introduced the Irish community, to corned beef, and lo and behold, the dish of corned beef and cabbage was born. Meanwhile, on the other hand, as I said, in Ireland, they tended to make simple things like Colcannon, which, again, I fell in love with that dish the first time I tried it, and that's why I'm more than happy to try making it here tonight, because I like to describe this dish as quite simply extreme mashed potatoes. And here's where we get into more stereotypes about British and Irish and cooking from the British Isles, namely that, you know what they say, pretty much, you boil the heck out of it, no matter what it is. And really, Colcannon is a perfect example of that, essentially, where we're going to be boiling everything together and mashing it. And that's why, as I said, I like to call it extreme mashed potatoes. It takes mashed potatoes and adds a few really good flavors to them. So that may very well be something you might want to try on your kids, because if you call it extreme mashed potatoes, they may very well eat it. Okay, let's see. Hi there. Hello, Pawpaw Dan. Yes, I see. And Jamie, Pawpaw Dan says hi. Got my fork and knife handy. Someone is even wearing a green T-shirt. Well, yeah, of course. Today, as you know, is the wearing of the green because no, I'm not of Irish heritage. But today is the day where everybody is Irish, as they say, or everybody pretends to be Irish, or just has fun being Irish. Or you could get into some dirty jokes and that. Do you have any Irish in you? And I'm not even going to finish that. Hello, Pegtooth. Hello, Jessica T. Hello, Bookworm 73. As always, I very much appreciate you folks who come back to this chat for some reason. I guess it's actually entertaining enough that you don't mind coming back, and I very much appreciate that. And having said that, as I said, let's get started here. First, I do want to get some basics of getting Colcannon together because it really is that easy that you could put this together pretty much any night. Which also gives me an excuse. Here we go again with the old roller coaster here. An excuse to show off a little bit of cast iron, namely a Griswold No. 8 Dutch oven. I love making mashed potatoes in this. Besides the fact, it's big, it's durable. Also, because that I can mash everything together with it, that means it's good to use a nice metal pot and not an enamel pot. So we will keep this aside and get on to some very basic ingredients here for Colcannon, which, of course, as I said, consists of a lot of mashed potatoes. And because we're using mashed potatoes here, we've got our good old russets, which I have, maybe I can get a better view, in fact, so that we can do both. Like right about here. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, which I have, some russets, which I have washed off. And these are pretty big russets, too. So when preparing my mashed potatoes, a lot of folks peel them. I don't bother peeling my mashed potatoes because I love them with the skins on. They say that mashed potatoes, if you don't peel the skins off of them, you leave the skins on them, what you end up with are smashed potatoes. And yeah, I certainly prefer my potatoes smashed. They may not be as creamy as peeled mashed potatoes, but I think they've got a lot more flavor to them. Also saves the effort of not having to worry about peeling all those potatoes too. And in fact, this is so easy that I may actually have one left over. Well, not necessarily. I could just throw it on top. Why not? And once we do that, we've got, here we go. This is going to be it's going to fill the pot easily because not only are we doing mashed potatoes, but we throw a few other things in it as well. Get out the kosher salt here. Nothing wrong with regular salt, of course. That should probably be enough. Yeah, I am a fan of a lot of salt in the water because you really want to taste it and give it a nice salty flavor. So besides, a lot of it is still going to be in the water too. So once we drain it, a fair amount of that salt will be gone. From here, all we got to do is very quickly chop up. This is really just one medium or decent sized onion, and I'm being careful here because of my hand, of course. That's one reason why I'm using this knife rather than my favorite chef knife. This is a little smaller, and I want to be sure I can handle it properly. We don't even have to dice or mince these any of this stuff because we're going to be mashing it. So just simply into fairly large pieces. That's all we need. And then from there, we've got two more ingredients, one of which is not exactly standard for Colcannon, but I like using it anyway because it's very tasty and it gives it a nice green color because, what do you know? St. Patrick's Day. And that would simply be some fresh spinach. It goes along well with the taste of all of this, especially when you see what we're going to be adding to it at the end. So all we have to do is, get spinach all over the place. That's all we have to do. And most of this is going to press down easily. And furthermore, once it boils, a lot of it is going to shrink too. So we've got some spinach to add with this. The rest we will put back in the fridge. And finally, the cabbage. Yes, we are including cabbage with this because, after all, this is an Irish or a British dish. But anyway, it's really as simple as that. This I might want to cut up a little bit more. And then from there, all we got to do now, well, yeah, this is definitely full up to the top, that's for sure. But as I said, it should shrink nicely as it boils. Let's make sure it fits. No problem at all. This Griswold has a nice deep lid, and because it's a good heavy cast iron lid, you can be sure it'll stay on. So that's all good. From here, let's just fill this with a little water, or maybe even more than a little. Probably about halfway up will be more than enough. Thank you for waiting, as always. I will get to your comments in just a moment, because as you can see, that's what I mean. This part did not take long at all. There's one more part to this that we will be adding as well. And I think we're all ready. We already have enough. One more part to this, in that after all this, we're also going to be mashing in cooked sausage along with this. That's the part that the kids should like. Anyway, there you go. It's really as simple as that. And while we're doing this, let me check the comments, and then we will move on to the next part. Hi, JD Hive 4 below. I made Colcannon last night, John. Very tasty. Oh, isn't it, though? Yeah, it's simple, tasty, and as I said, it's really, really easy to make. Not as well as really not that expensive. I mean, you figure, how expensive is cabbage? How expensive are potatoes and an onion? I think it's as easy as that. Red Dog, how many different pieces of cast iron do you own? I haven't given an exact count to my collection, but I would guess somewhere about 100 pieces or so, which is probably about 95 too many. But I do my best to keep them in rotation. Mashed potatoes is one of my favorite dishes, which is why you should certainly give this a try. That's quite a lot of salt. Well, yeah, but you see how much food I've stuffed into the pot here. So it's all going to boil, and that way we can get some salt into all the rest of it, not just into the potatoes, but also into the cabbage and the onions and the spinach. JD Hive, I've never done long simmers in raw cast iron. My seasoning always breaks down. Well, this isn't going to be a long simmer. All told, we're probably going to be doing about a total of 50 minutes, which is about 20 minutes maybe to bring this pot to a boil, and then another 30 minutes to actually boil it. As seasoning always breaks down, especially the underside of the lid. This is why I fancy enameled cast iron pots. How long does it take to get simmer proof? There's really no number, it's not like if you cook 5 times, then you can simmer in it. Really, you just, you just keep using it to the point where you feel the seasoning looks well enough that you think you can give it a try. It's not like, but again, I don't do a lot of water boiling in this, but every once in a while, I don't see there's any problem with that. Did you just cover the potatoes or fill the Dutch oven to the brim? The water is probably just about halfway up the, no, let me try that again. The water is maybe about halfway up the pot, which is more than enough to boil and steam everything. So, do I spy Guinness? Oh, yes. Yes, you do. This is what we use to cook the corned beef and cabbage. And now that we are at that point, I'd say we should probably get out the next part of this, the part that everybody enjoys on St. Patrick's Day, and that is, of course, that corned beef and cabbage. So let's get this down, get this out of the way so that we don't have any trouble. Move the knife so that there's no trouble there. Oh, and speaking of no trouble, Trouble is currently in a closed bedroom. So with any luck, unless he gets out, we shouldn't have any trouble from Trouble. And having said that,
he's not locked in here by himself. I'm keeping him company.
Yes, he is. He is with company. We're not locking him up alone. I mean, after all, he's not being punished yet.
He's sleeping.
Yeah. Oh, he's sleeping too. That's good. That's even better. So, besides, this way we get to play with another piece of cast iron. This is gonna be fun, especially with this arm of mine. But let's see how we can manage it. I think I'm gonna have to move these things around again so that we can open the oven. Let's do this right. Yeah. I know, that's the part we just love. Let me readjust this slightly. And I think right about here. Come on. There we go. That should be good enough. And like it or not, I'm going to have to move this microphone so that the cord doesn't get in the way. Okay. Now, don't try this at home, folks. Especially if you have a broken wrist. Not that I'm talking about anyone in particular. And that would be trying to lift a huge cast iron pot. Specifically, the number 12. Whoops, here we go. Dutch oven. Notice I'm mostly using my good arm. There we go. Now let's move in and get a close-up of that. And there it is. See if we can get even closer. Whoops, don't want to. Don't look now, but here is. Oh crap! Connection is unstable. Okay, let me hold out. Have we looked up again? There we go. Hi. Okay, that one I think may just be because I bumped the Ethernet cable. I have to ask folks, are we locked up? Can somebody give a yes or no? As far as I could tell, we should be okay. Still here. Good. We're still connected. Okay, good. I think there might have been a temporary bleep. As I said, that was just because of my Ethernet cable. As I said, I did upgrade the RAM on this laptop, so with any luck, we should not have any major disasters this week. Now, having said that, time for the reveal. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Ugh. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Lo and behold, here is some corned beef and cabbage with a whole bunch of vegetables underneath. Yeah, buffered for a few seconds. But everything is nice and steaming hot, and it's been going for about 7 hours, although the cabbage has only been steaming for about 2 hours. Partly because I actually like my vegetables to be softened to the point where they're practically mush. I like it like that. Meanwhile, this corned beef should also be good enough to pull apart. So, here's hoping that you folks have some nice corned beef and cabbage or whatever you want to make today on St. Patrick's Day. And here's why I strongly recommend, what else? Cooking it in cast iron. Because not only, of course, is this way bigger than a crock pot, the lid was good enough that most of the braising liquid did not evaporate. So because of that, all I had to use for the braising liquid was just a nice big 22-ounce bottle of beer. I did not have to fill this thing all the way up with water. And now let's see if we can get this thing out safely. How to do this? Because, careful, it's gonna fall apart. Yeah, I can see that. Well, maybe not. Maybe we got it. There we go, for the most part. Okay, we've got that. We have some corned beef and the cabbage. And of course, you could serve this whatever your favorite seasonings and spices are. I like having my cabbage with vinegar of all things. I mean, I've mentioned a few times that I've got a vinegar fetish, and yeah, just simply adding some apple cider vinegar onto this is this really makes this pretty much an entire meal for me. And that takes care of the cabbage. Finally, on top of all that, we've got a lot of nice veggies, which, among other things, will make a wonderful corned beef hash tomorrow morning. Maybe even tonight. It might not even last that long. Okay. Oh, and this, by the way, this is the spice bag. You know, you take all those spices that you use for cooking the corned beef and put it in a cheesecloth bag. That way you don't have to pick them out of the vegetables and the meat. Nonetheless, here we are with some very soft vegetables. Like I said, that's how I like them. If you don't want your vegetables to be practically mush like this, you can cook the corned beef by itself for maybe about 3 or 4 hours and then add the vegetables. But otherwise, as you know, corned beef and cabbage is so much easier than this, and I really, really recommend braising it in a Dutch oven or even in your crock pot if you want, rather than just simply boiling it, because you get so much flavor that way. Okay, hi, Kim Lawson. I've got that very same size and make of Dutch oven. I love it. Well, congratulations. You've got a real heirloom there. I mean, this is a Century Series Dutch oven, although it has a Red Mountain Series lid. So this thing may very well be about as old as I am, and we're talking somewhere around 50 years or so. Miss French Twist, I have a vinegar fetish as well. Oh yeah, you know how that goes. Pig tooth, bon Dieu. Wow, that looks great. Oh yeah, and I'm definitely looking forward to chowing down on this. So the best we could say about this is happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Here is our corned beef and cabbage. Yeah, and of course, if and when Jamie wants to come out and there's no rush, you can get some corned beef. Boy, that didn't take long. Wasn't Spice Bag one of the Spice Girls? Well, I don't know about that, but yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. It's always forget something, but let me grab a plate for you quickly.
Oh, here, just throw. There's vegetables in that thing.
Yes.
Just throw some meat in there.
That was easy.
That's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big bowl, but okay.
That's okay.
All right.
I may not eat it all right. Actually, I'll take a ton of vegetables. And
Yeah.
Throw some cabbage in there.
Where did I put that knife? Did I put it in the back there?
I don't see it.
Okay. Because I have to slice this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where the knife is. I don't see it.
Yeah, where did I put it? I
do not know.
Seem to have misplaced it. Oh, okay, well then I'll have to get another knife.
Yeah, I don't see nothing in there.
That's all right.
It's right there underneath your.
Oh, I see it. My bad.
Yeah. Want to go to tongs?
Okay.
No, the smaller ones. Like
Small tongs right here.
Thank you.
Here you are.
I'm just gonna grab some cabbage when I
Okay. Anyway, what we have to do now, of course, is slice ourselves up some corned beef. This was initially probably about 5-pound brisket, but of course it shrinks when you cook it, so now it's more like, oh, I don't know, maybe 3 pounds. Slice against the grain as best as we can. Oh yeah, nice pink color and everything.
Nice.
All right.
Slap it on.
Slap it on. Slap it on in. Hang up. Yeah.
Yes, it's alright.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing that small piece that's there too.
This one here too?
Yep.
Okay. No problem at all.
There we go. I'll I come back out for some more corned beef.
Oh, I don't doubt it, yes. Let's see if we can't get a better look at this corned beef here. Well, I've got to do this in
Hi guys!
So I understand someone likes corned beef.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Which, as you know, we corned this corned beef from scratch. You know, we took the corned beef biscuit. Well, we took the beef brisket and brined it for a couple of weeks using our own spices. And this is the end result. And this is why I highly, highly recommend to everybody, at least sometime, take the time to try making your own corned beef. But even if you use store-bought corned beef, there's still nothing wrong with it. I still recommend use your own spices. Add your own spices to it and feel free to experiment. And then, believe me, you have got some exceptional corned beef. Can't help getting a piece. Oh, yeah. All right. That's funny. I don't care who. Okay. I was followed your corned beef recipe. It was very tasty. Came out pretty salty. I washed the meat well. Would you recommend brining half the time or using less salt in the brine? If you feel it was too salty, I would probably say less salt in the brine, I think. I don't think brining it longer would really make much of a difference. There was one time when, for personal reasons, my corned beef was delayed, and it was in the refrigerator in the brine for about a month or so. But hey, that's one reason why, again, using the curing salt or saltpeter, that helps because it's a preservative, and that's exactly what it's there for, you know, to keep it from spoiling all that time. And I see you've slathered on the mustard. Yeah. Okay, top of the morning to you, Jimmy Langford. Spice. Okay, as I said, I don't know about Spice Bag being one of the Spice Girls, but I do know Old Spice. So, and Scary Spice. Okay, now having done all that, we can move on to the next part. Although, as I said, as always, this is again a live chat, and still questions and answers are encouraged. I mean, as much as this is a lot of fun, especially when people really pretty much speak their mind, and feel free to do so. Not even, whether it's about St. Patrick's Day or about cast iron in general, as usual. You know, it's like we always have some questions about maintaining cast iron, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But at this point now, I've got to start putting some of this aside so that we can move on to the next step. Let me see. I guess the best way to do that would be... Oh, damn, that's still hot. Okay. Sorry. There's always something unexpected, such as trying to find room to clear all this stuff out. And then, as I said, move on to part 3 of this, which is moving the Colcannon out of the way. And getting out another cast iron friend. we are. And here comes our next familiar piece of cast iron, one that I've used quite a few times, and I'm sure some folks may very well recognize this. And that would be, once again, the Red Mountain. Oh, damn, that's hot. The Red Mountain series, number 8 skillet. I've been heating this thing up nicely for a little while now. It's going to be good and hot, which is good because get to bring out the next and last ingredient in the Colcannon, because while we're boiling most of it, there's one part that we're going to fry up. And let me go and get that right now. And that would be some sausages. Essentially, I'll turn on the fan here. Oh yeah. Sorry, just had to have a little bit more of that corned beef. When are you moving? Well, I don't know yet. I am planning on moving to another apartment, only because unfortunately, this place is kind of small, and I really do think I need more room to move around. Nonetheless. Thank you once again, everyone, for waiting. And now, let's get on and do a little bit more cooking here. Which I very much appreciate everybody watching all this. I very much enjoy cast iron, but for me, the cooking is number one. I caught the cooking bug and then the cast iron bug at almost exactly the same time. Cast iron is a means to an end, and a very tasty end while we're at it. That's why I love using these pieces as well as collecting them. These are Italian sausages, for the record, because, they're easily available. If you were really doing this in Ireland, you may very well, be using bangers rather than Italian sausages. But then, hey, this is still a kind of a cheap meal. So you get what is most commonly available, which here in the U.S. would almost certainly be Italian sausages. And just as with almost anything else, there's really no better way to cook sausages than in a cast iron skillet. Get them nice and browned, and I have to keep moving around because at the same time I don't want to burn them. They're sliding across the pan nicely too, even though I barely use, as you can see, really the only grease we have is what came off of the sausages themselves, and it will probably render a little bit more as well. And hello, Frank Marullo. I live in Billings, Montana, not 3 hours from, I never could pronounce this, Butte, Montana. Probably has the most Irish in one city this side of the ocean. Yeah, and I live in Boston as well, where we have always had a strong Irish heritage. Many Irish immigrants have settled down, and there is actually something of an Irish section to the city, as well as a Italian section. And some of the legends of how well or how not so well those sections of the city got along. Of course, that takes up quite a bit of the history of Boston, especially in the 20th century. On the plus side, of course, the Irish heritage means that we get to experience a lot of genuine Irish cuisine, not the least of which would be Colcannon. I mean, when you come to Boston, of course, you have got to have our usual dishes: Boston baked beans, lobster, clam chowder. But you will find that there is some pretty good Irish grub available in our town as well. And that I'm quite proud of. Go over to the Black Rose. Oh, yeah. Great music, especially on St. Patrick's Day. I'd love to, except, of course, number one, we've got the quarantine, although I understand they're only just beginning to lift it, at least in some respects. But I'm probably still going to stay quarantined for a little while longer. And the other is, unfortunately, it's a Wednesday night and a work night. So I really am going to have to start getting ready for bed, probably as soon as this live video is over. But there's always the weekend. Hey, you made it. Raymond, we want trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets out at some point soon. Nonetheless, what could be more American than cooking Italian sausages for an Irish dish in a vintage southern U.S. cast iron skillet? As I've said a number of times, this is a number 8 Red Mountain pan, one of my favorite kitchen users. Some of my BSR pans I've given nicknames, such as my number 14, who I call Stumpy, or a number 7 BSR, which I call Lightning, because of the way it cooks food at lightning speed. I've never given a nickname to this number 8, but I think it works just fine nonetheless. I mean, you don't have to name all of your favorite cookware. You don't have to name any of it. Of course, as you know, if you give your cast iron names like Big Bertha, Smoky, then you can be sure you've got cast ironitis. I mean, I think every household has a Big Bertha, for instance. I don't know how Bertha managed to become so famous, but nonetheless. No worries about damaging the seasoning on the number 8 tonight with that banging sausage. Yeah, no kidding. That's why I'm also using a nice metal tongs on this. No need to worry about wooden utensils. This, of course, is only going to help increase the seasoning on it. It's got a nice black color, but of course, there's nothing wrong with building up the seasoning even more. Especially since really, when the seasoning is well built up, you can use this even for tomato dishes. Not on a regular basis, but once in a great while. Put the microphone down. Don't want my wrist to get sore. There we go. And that makes me think of another Irish dish that I've made in this very pan, and that would be coddle. I've got a link to a video on making Irish coddle in the that's coddle, Coddle, not cuddle, even though it's a nice friendly name. I've made Irish coddle in this pan as well, and that's a really easy dish as well. It's essentially baked and braised in that you brown up some sausages like this. You also brown up some of your usual vegetables, especially potatoes and spices. Then you add some chicken broth to the pan or vegetable broth, cover it, and bake it in the oven for a couple of hours. And there's a nice comfort food for you right there, Irish coddle. I may end up covering this pan anyway, just so that I can steam these sausages, because, of course, pork, you have to be sure it is thoroughly cooked. Don't want to take any chances at all with that. Hello, Stephanie McHale. I'm watching from North Ireland with a glass of Bushmills. I could eat this now. Huh. Oh, yeah. Well, you can't eat it through the screen. I'm sure I would hope you have made some something nice and tasty in your cast iron as well. I've mentioned already how corned beef and cabbage is more of an American dish, and there's nothing wrong with it, of course. But as I said, I'm sure you folks up there in Ireland are more likely to be having some bangers and mash, or as I mentioned here, Colcannon, or coddle, or some buxty. Those are those potato pancakes as well, in which you mix grated potatoes with mashed potatoes, along with some flour and egg, and you fry it all up, and you've got yourself some buxty. I was tempted to try making that tonight as well, but I don't think I should really overexert myself. I mean, I've already said enough times now, I got to be careful here. So all we can do is be patient and keep posting comments and asking any questions you would like as well. Jimmy Langford, I have 9 pounds of brisket in a brine in the fridge. Oh, yeah. I always cook with vegetables. Always prefer to fry the cabbage and cast iron with bacon and onions. Bacon. There you go. Fried cabbage. That's a meal in itself. Peg Tooth, I'm eating an apple and I'm enjoying your meal more than mine. I love apples, and hey, why not fry that too? We can have fried apples. Hello, William Hurd. Raymond Green beer. I personally have not been much of a person for beer. I've recently learned that beer is wonderful for cooking, along with many other kinds of alcohol, and that's why I made that corned beef with beer. But I personally have not had much of a taste for beer, and that's my entire life. I know some people love their beer. It's just something that has never appealed to my taste. Everybody's different. Nonetheless, that's good. These things are getting nice and browned here, but we still have a ways to go, unfortunately, before the center is cooked. So I am thinking, give me a second, please, to dig out the lid for this. Here we are. So, here's one shortcut, especially for cooking sausages, and that is to just throw in a little water, put a lid on it, and let it steam for a little while. Ms. French Twist, I was at the Sam Adams opening in Jamaica Plain. Oh, that must have been exciting. I know how Sam Adams is supposed to be like a Boston brand. I don't think Sam Adams is really as old as they would like it to be, but still, hey, any brand that reminds us of our hometown, that's a good thing. Hey, William, better late than never. Yes, indeed. Hello again to William Herb. Snoop is my dog. I'm on a diet. Yeah, this is one of those days where it's hard to stick to a diet, isn't it? Nonetheless, so far, so good. And over there in the corner, meanwhile, we've got that Colcannon also going on nice and hot. Let me just quickly take a quick peek at that to make sure everything is going okay, as it certainly should be. Oh, yeah. Simmering away here. All's well that ends well. Trouble for president of the cast iron group. Trouble logo t-shirt holding a skillet. Yeah, if I could get him to hold the skillet, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but somehow I'm thinking he'd be more likely to knock it over. As you know, with cats, that's one reason why, as they say, that's one of many reasons why I do not subscribe to the flat earth theory. As they say, if the earth was flat, then the cats would have pushed everything off of it. You're on the money. Keep turning the sausages. Real comfort food for this type of year. That's my hope, yes. None of this is really hard cooking. I mean, I am, as I've said enough times, I'm really just an amateur cook. I have only done a few really, really fancy recipes, but I do love trying new things, especially when it is so easy. I just noticed the refrigerator is open. 1 second. Especially when the vast majority of cooking is really just comfort cooking, and it is so incredibly easy most of the time. I mean, I know that when you've got kids and families and jobs, it's really hard to make the effort to cook on a regular basis. But as long as you find any real good excuse to cook, I mean, cooking is, of course, wonderful therapy, as well as it's very relaxing in most instances. At least easy cooking is. So, I mean, I feel good, even my wrist, from doing this. Miss French Twist. Yes, the cat would have pushed everything off. Tell me about it. Trouble sitting on the cast iron. Well, I might end up doing that at some point, especially with the way he loves jumping up on the counter. But of course, I've got to make sure everything is nice and cool. No, I do not want to burn him or hurt him or anything like that. So, all right, let me see. Let's do one other thing here. One thing about this quarantine is that I'm kind of getting an itch to go back into the cast iron hunt, which is one reason why I was so psyched. On my Facebook, I posted a picture of this a couple of days ago, and I'm actually proud to have been able to find this, an ashtray skillet, especially with the logo of Atlanta Stove Works, the parent company of Birmingham Stove and Range. I mean, yeah, I've had something of a love for BSR, as you know, if you follow my channel in any way at all. So coming across this, I was quite happy to score it. I'm couple of things. One is this, I wasn't sure if this was enameled or painted. I think it's probably painted. So once I rebuild my lye tank, I will drop this in the lye tank for maybe about a month or so, completely strip it off, and do a proper seasoning on this. The other is that I don't even think this was made by BSR. I mean, it has a completely different shape, and it's actually very deep, especially for a typical ashtray skillet. But it has a much different shape from most of the ashtray skillets that were actually made by BSR. Like, for instance, the spag skillet, which I've shown off a couple of times. And this, of course, is a memento from the famous and now gone Spags store in Massachusetts here. But this was definitely made by BSR, and you can tell that because of the way it's shaped, because it has this groove on the handle here, as well as practically no pour spouts and any other kind of cigarette rest. But this was definitely made by BSR, so even so, still quite glad to have found that skillet, and it's really getting me in the mood to go back into the hunt again once places open up. That is, Miss French Twist, nice ash tray, deep too. Maybe it had a glass insert. That's certainly possible. I really don't know enough about the older ashtray skillets, but that seems likely that maybe it was actually part of a set, for instance, and maybe it was meant to set into something. Maybe it was the insert, perhaps. And I noticed that this pan is steaming nicely, so we are definitely off to a good start at this point. Meanwhile, let's check again. Make sure that the Colcannon is doing so as well. I think, yeah, no, definitely once the sausages are done, I will move this back over here. This is definitely, this is certainly my best burner as well. So, oh no, the Colcannon is steaming as well. So we are doing good here. That means it's up to a boil. And in just a little while, we will be able to mash that. Probably when these sausages are done, in fact. So at this point, let's see what it looks like. It's only been a few minutes, but that should be all we need. Yes. Yeah, this is doing nicely now. There we go. Water and the grease have mixed in, and so by leaving the cover off now, of course, that means the rest of this water will evaporate. By the time the water evaporates, with any luck, these sausages should be done. James Ransdell, there was a foundry in Rome, Georgia that made nice pans, if you like Southern cast. I have seen, for instance, now still waffle irons being sold today that say Rome. I'm presuming it would not be from the same foundry, unfortunately, but that suggests that maybe the business survived. And yeah, Southern cast, it's funny how, there do seem to be so many brands of Southern cast iron, including those Southern mystery skillets. There are a number of Northern brands. I mean, after all, Griswold and Wagner were Northern brands, but a lot of the smaller ones do seem to have been located in the South. In the 19th century, there were a lot of Northern small cast iron manufacturers, even some here in New England, but they seem to have faded away, unfortunately. But, well, that's how history goes, and that's how our country is these days, which would be a subject for a completely different discussion. Right now, though, I'm glad to have learned something and learned to appreciate at least one relic of old-fashioned American life. One that is, in fact, making a comeback as well. I mean, we've said enough times how cast iron has become so popular again, to the point where even BSR has been rediscovered, and how older BSR pans, like this one, for instance, are no longer unknown. And unfortunately, in places like eBay, they are indeed going for high prices. Yet, even today, with a little bit of searching, you can still make a good score. I mean, after all, I found that ashtray skillet, for instance, so you never know. Oh yeah, you can see now the Griswold Dutch oven is definitely giving out some nice steam at this point. Papa Dan, James Ransdell, what was the name of their cast iron? Yeah, I am curious about that. Jimmy Langford, I'll never forget that huge apple pie you made. Oh, that was a good couple of years ago. So, well, thank you very much for that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun to make, too. I do admit I kind of made that is kind of like an imitation of all those YouTube videos where I made a giant, fill in the blank. I made a giant cookie. Well, big deal. I've made quite a few of those giant cookies. Or I made a giant apple pie. Or I made a 50-pound hamburger. Actually, let me comment on that thing. No, they did not make a huge 30 or 50-pound hamburger, because you know why? How do you make a hamburger? You fry it. You get yourself a nice screaming hot cast iron pan, or it doesn't even have to be cast iron, but definitely you fry it. What they do in those videos where they make those giant hamburgers, they take all of those, they put all their beef together, and what do? They bake it in the oven. And what do you call baked ground beef? Meatloaf. So what they really made was a giant meatloaf. They did not actually make a giant hamburger. I believe there is at least one video out there somewhere where somebody takes that huge piece of ground beef after it's cooked and actually fries it the way that it's supposed to. That is a project I would like to do myself at some point in the near future as well, probably when my arm heals. Namely, make a real giant burger. Of course, I don't have the budget that those content farms have. You know, the ones who like Tasty or Taste Made or the like, so that I could not afford to do a 30-pound hamburger. On the other hand, 5 pounds, that's certainly not out of the question, especially when I could just as easily make it in Stumpy, my number 14 skillet. I do believe this water is evaporating nicely at this point. We are getting close to the point where almost all we have left in the pan is grease. So I'm happy about that. Raymond, I saw the hog head on eBay for $80. Yeah, that's unfortunately, I'm not surprised about that. And I don't blame you for not getting it. I mean, realistically, unless it's that one piece that you feel you really got to have no matter what. I mean, really, as far as finding rare cast iron in the wild, there's still the consideration of, will I use it? Will it actually just hang on the wall, or can I get some use out of it? So I was lucky in that I found my hog's head for about $30. Beyond that, I'm not sure I would have gotten it. But now that I have that, I'm glad. And so Raymond, likewise, I'm sure, just be patient. Just keep on looking. And you never know when you might indeed come across a hog's head pan at the right price for you. And remember, if it's covered with paint or grit or the like, you can clean it up. It's not difficult. That's usually where the best scores are, in fact. Or a 4 to 16-inch spatula, custom made. Oh, I know. Well, as much as those things are nice, I mean, they're really not, hard to say if they're absolutely necessary. I mean, on one hand, if you end up getting one as a Christmas present, well, then that's really, really nice. But on the other hand, really, there are a lot of treasures out there, and that's why I have very much become a fan of the hunt, flea markets, and bargain stores and the like, because there's a lot of great stuff you can find at really cheap prices that are definitely worth the cost. I mean, a lot of cast iron, among other things, but hey, I've shown, for instance, my vintage wok spatula, which I paid $5 for at Brimfield. No, it may not be monogrammed with my logo on it, but I treasure this thing nonetheless because it does a great job and makes a great stir fry. And really, I'm sure most of you have at least one special piece in your kitchen, cast iron, or maybe a knife, or maybe even a favorite spatula or something, one that you can definitely say is an heirloom. And those are the best things to cook on. I mean, we may not have all copper cookware and use only the really fanciest utensils, but we do good. As I started out, yes, with dollar store spatulas and the like, and I still have a couple of them. But, I mean, it took some hunting, and I've been at this for several years now, but I have managed to give myself a nice, decent collection of utensils and other cookware, and for the most part, yeah, I did splurge once or twice, but for the most part, it did not cost an arm and a leg. So there's really, that's why I feel that my kitchen is something I am very proud of, because even though I didn't break the bank. Oh, somebody looks like she's full. Yeah. Oh, let me do this here. So you're saying you ate that whole bowl? Well, best I can say is happy St. Patrick's Day.
I'm going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do have a choice.
Kyler Estes, happy St. Patrick's Day. I just joined in on the fun, enjoying the show and a nice cold beer. This holiday is extra special for me because my Irish grandfather just turned 88 today. Well, very much congratulations and happy birthday to your grandfather. Funny thing is, today is kind of like the 10th anniversary for me of a very special event that took place in my life too, not related to Ireland, kind of personal, but nonetheless, that's one reason why I have really enjoyed celebrating this particular day, March 17th, in addition to St. Patrick's Day. Ah, nice banger, as you say. Well, yeah, I mean, well, you saw what I did. All I did was really just pushed them around in a cast iron pan. Steamed them for a few minutes to be sure the inside are cooked. Sorry? Oh, yeah, him, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it was really that easy. You just push them around until they're done. With sausages, of course, again, you have to be absolutely sure that they are completely done, but I'd say we are getting to that point. Which means we are getting close to the time to finally finish up our Colcannon. So again, I appreciate everybody's patience with all this. James Randall, the one in Rome was called Eagle Cast Iron. James Randall, thanks for the info on that and the hogshead. Have you ever tried the electrolysis method for cleaning cast iron? Yes, I have, although I have to admit, I have not built an e-tank since I moved here to this apartment, partly because it's so small and in the middle of the city. But yeah, electrolysis is a fantastic method for cleaning cast iron. It does have some disadvantages. Number one, of course, you can only clean 1 or 2 pans at a time. Number two, it uses electricity, and if you're not careful, that could actually add quite a chunk to your electric bill. So it's not free, unfortunately. But if you take the time to use electrolysis, there's probably no better method at all for cleaning up old, rusty cast iron. My favorite method is really to use both the lye tank and electrolysis. You know, you just dump all my pans in a lye tank for weeks or months, pull them out when I want to clean them, and then after that, I can use the e-tank for the to clean, to get rid of the rust. And yeah, I would say we are getting close at this point. Looking good. I'm thinking we are about ready, in fact, to move on. Let me grab a piece of this potato. Oh, yeah. I think we are ready to move on to the next step. Things are looking good. And they should be tasting good, too. Still looking forward to this. Let's move this out of the way carefully. And bring this back over. Away from the front, so there's no chance of my knocking it over. I've done things like that. Well, at this point, I can even turn off the fan for the stovetop as well. That way. Well, let's just get one more shot of these sausages here. And having done that, time now for our next reveal. Let's raise this up a little bit. Lower the angle. Papa Dan, what was the total time that you cooked the brisket and other contents in the BSR Dutch oven? It turned out to be a total of about 7 hours tonight. That's the first time I've done 7 hours. I've usually done it for 8 hours, but 7 was obviously more than enough. In my case, I put the vegetables in at the same time as the corned beef. Though, as I said, I like my vegetables to be soft enough to mash, but that's just me. If you don't want that, then you should probably cook the corned beef for maybe about half of its time. So we're talking like 3.5 to 4 hours, and then put in the vegetables. And finally, after that, the cabbage. Then it all comes out, and feel free to chow down. And I'm a fan of braising my corned beef rather than boiling it. But speaking of boiling, I think it's time to bring out. Oh yeah, this is definitely well cooked at this point. I think before I drain it, we'll just have to test that and make sure it's fork tender. Oh yeah, no problem at all. So if this is fork tender, you can bet that this stuff underneath is ready to mash. So one, let's turn off the heat. Two, let us carefully drain it. Hope I can do this. This is the hard part. Considering, unfortunately, I've got my... In fact, I think I better get a colander out. Because, well, unfortunately, I've got to be careful, like it or not. Jamie's already gotten mad at me a couple of times. I'm not coming down on you, just speaking the truth, and you know that. Oh, hey, I just noticed, just at this moment. No, it doesn't fit correctly. This is the BSR lid. It does not fit quite right on this Griswold. The lid is just a slightly bit bigger. Now, let us carefully... in fact, one more second. I'm gonna have to use a pot holder because the glove will not fit on my this hand, unfortunately. So let's do this nice and careful. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'll just tip it over with the bail. There we go. Got it. And thank you for waiting, everyone. All right. There we go. There's some of it. Ow, hot, hot, hot. And here's the rest. That was fun. But we managed to do it. I like, yeah, my glasses got foggy. So did mine. I like mashed vegetables too. Oh, yeah. What's especially good are mashed vegetables with some meat tossed right in with it. And that is why your kids should enjoy some extreme mashed potatoes. Here is where now, as Santa Claus says, now mash away, mash away, mash away all. May have to actually, I think I might even have to, oh, nope, there it goes. It's coming apart, which is how it should be. Just got to be patient here. This is going to take a few minutes. And if I had both hands available, I'm sure it would go much faster. But there we go. The sausages are bursting. That's a good sign. As I've said a dozen times already, thank you for waiting, folks. Okay. Because even though it's taking longer to mash than it normally should because of my little handicap. In the end, we will have ourselves some green Colcannon. That's why I added the spinach. There we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Let's turn it over. And keep on mashing. While we're doing this, let's see what else this says. Already looks good. Oh yeah, Miss French twist. Why? Well, this is, okay, that's the secret. This is Colcannon, in which not only do we mash up the vegetables, we mash in some sausages or other kinds of meat along with it. Doesn't even have to be sausages. Could be bacon, could be ham. You could even use ground beef. I mean, I know that's not traditional for Ireland, but there's no reason not to. Nonetheless, as I said already, you could probably serve this to your kids, and in most cases they will eat it. That's why I've said a couple of times I call this extreme mashed potatoes. What is it? Oh, it's nothing you haven't had and nothing that you don't like. I mean, you love mashed potatoes, you love sausages, and that's exactly what we've got in here, mashed potatoes and sausages. You don't have to tell them about the cabbage. Nonetheless, 5-second rule. Nonetheless, little by little, it is in fact starting to become proper mash, especially since I forgot the obvious. When you make mashed potatoes, you don't just mash it up. Namely, thank you. Give me just a second, folks. Going as fast as I can here. There we go. In order to get this right, not only do you just mash it all up, you throw in a whole bunch of butter and some milk or cream. There. Don't worry, I'm taking my time. Okay, you can do that. This and a little bit of milk. That should help make it a little bit more creamy now. Don't worry, it will be absorbed. Looks soupy, but trust me, this will become more creamy. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Also makes it easier to mash. So yeah, you can also say to your kids, you know, especially if they're into this, you know, you can gross them out and then say, oh, you know what that looks like? Which may make them more likely to eat it. Hope I didn't add too much milk. Regardless, I think this is still turning out okay. Now we are getting somewhere. As I said, British cuisine, boil the heck out of it. Or as somebody says, boil it and salt it. Okay, that's it. And the reply is, salt it, that may be a luxury. There we go. Now I think we're getting to the point where we can actually say this is Colcannon. Boy, doesn't that look yummy. Nonetheless, I love this stuff. I think it's delicious. The only thing missing, buttered mashed spuds and cabbage. Butter makes anything better. My Irish gram put tons of butter in everything. That's why it was so good. There's spuds in there and cabbage. Oh, yes. And sausages, too. But I do believe we've got it. So this is our Colcannon, which, as I said, if folks are not crazy about corned beef and cabbage, you may want to consider trying this stuff. One second, I gotta put the milk back. Then I do believe we're just about ready here. As I said, if you're not crazy about corned beef, because not everybody is, you may want to consider making this. This is a traditional Irish dish. As I've said enough times, it might be something that your kids may want to eat. Oh, hi there. Somebody just meowed. That was Miss Mobley. And it's really not that hard to make. It was harder than it looked here because, as I said enough times, I've got my wrist to take care of. English food was mostly created on a dare. You're probably right. Some Jamerson, too. Jamerson, well, that one I don't know, and I'm going to have to look that up. As I mentioned, I considered making buxty tonight, but obviously there was not enough time for that. So, having said that, let's move the camera over a little bit. Say hello to Miss Mobley. She's the shy one. Not as shy as she has been, actually. She seems to have gotten a lot braver recently, which is good. But nonetheless, what can I say? As I mentioned already, let's move it this way so that we got another look at the cast iron here. This is, in fact, our St. Patrick's Day here in my kitchen. We used a big, huge Dutch oven to make ourselves some corned beef and cabbage, topped it off with some sausages, mixed it in with some mashed veggies, and ended up with Colcannon. And I've enjoyed myself tonight, and as always, I certainly hope everybody else has, because really, the whole point of this is just that, having fun. I mean, despite the fact that, again, my arm, I enjoy doing this a lot, which again is why Jamie is upset, because as I said, I really got to be careful not to overexert my arm. But I can't help it, because it is, in fact, so much fun to make this stuff. And I really hope it inspires some folks to try it themselves. You know how it's cliche for all these cooking videos to say, how does it go? Like, subscribe, and I hope you try this yourself, no matter what it is. But I really do, because I make the recipes I make, the ones that I'm proud of anyway. I really hope this encourages some folks to give this a try. Step out of the box a little bit. And as much as I love cornbread in cast iron, burgers in cast iron, fried chicken in cast iron, and cornbread and biscuits and cornbread and burgers and chicken. Really, I mean, there are so many dishes out there. They're just so easy to make, and they're a lot of fun, and they are delicious too. There's almost certainly something out there waiting for you, something that you have not tried yet. And when you try it, you will fall in love with it. That's one of the best reasons to go out of your way and really try something different at least once in a while. And I can really only hope that this helps to inspire some folks to try something. Hello, Stephen Michelle. What is chili? That sounds like a different kind of chili. And have you tried onion gravy with a chili? This would be a great topper. Oh, I've made onion gravy. I've not yet topped this with it, but that would certainly be worth it, I think. I think she was talking about onion gravy with actually chilies. And we've tried a number of your recipes. Well, thank you very much. That's really the best compliment I think I can get, that people tried some of this stuff and actually liked it. So, and having said all that, I mean, again, this is, well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We will be back again next Wednesday. I'm not entirely sure of the topic. I'm not sure if it may just be a cast iron chat or we may do for more cooking. If this thing comes off, though, I may be more inspired to really try more cooking, and I do hope you folks enjoy that, because I know there are some of these channels out there that are more about collecting and restoring and identifying vintage cast iron, and that is a lot of fun. I mean, that, that's a great part of this hobby of mine. For me, as I said, the cooking has been number one, and I hope it always is. And having said that, as Bookworm says, until next week, thank you very much once again for watching, everyone. See you next Wednesday.